Guys, this is for 30-year-old women who are Christian and still single. I'll start by saying this. I turned 30 last year. I'm going to be 31 this fall. I have never been asked out on a date in my life, and I mean that. Never. I've never been approached by a guy. I've never had a man show interest in me. And I would never have admitted to that a couple years ago. I was ashamed and embarrassed about that. I was like, oh, it's because I'm stupid maybe, or, I'm not attractive, or all these things. Like, I thought it was a deficiency in me. But I have been hearing from other women the exact same thing, especially Christian women, where it's like, no one, I'm 27, I'm 28, I've never been asked out. And so I think there's a problem on both sides. I think that women get blamed a lot, where people will say, you whored yourself in your 20s, and, you cared about your career and you did all these things to keep men away from you. And I think I never did any of that stuff. And I know a lot of other women who didn't do that stuff. And they're just, men aren't asking women.
You see, women killed the vibe themselves. Think about it. It's not some abstract theory, it's reality. Men used to walk up, strike up a conversation, maybe even risk a little awkwardness, and it worked. Now, forget it. The risk-reward just doesn't add up. Men aren't stupid. They're tired. Tired of the instant judgment, the public shaming, the cancel culture-style backlash over something as simple as saying hi. And let's be honest, the shadow of false accusations looms large in every interaction now. Here's the kicker. If you truly want attention, if you really want someone to notice you, it starts with the basics. Drop the attitude. Smile. Offer a simple invite. That's it. Not entitlement. Not sarcasm. Not some dramatic performance. Just a hint of warmth. A little openness. But until that happens, enjoy the silence. Before we dive in, drop a comment. Are modern men more delusional, or is it the ladies? Hit like and subscribe. Let's get to 1 million this month so you don't miss what we expose next. Dramatic performance. Just a hint of warmth, a little openness. But until that happens, enjoy the silence. Relish it, because it's the direct result of the vibe you're putting out. The ball is in your court, absolutely. But don't be shocked when no one is willing to play. Men aren't chasing illusions anymore. They're playing smart, protecting themselves, and frankly, waiting for a reason to take a chance that actually makes sense. Modern dating isn't broken because men disappear. It's broken because expectations are off, attitudes are defensive, and the basic human connection, a smile, a hello, has become some kind of high-risk operation.
Men no longer come up to women. I asked this in a TikTok last week, and it got so many comments, especially from men. And I just want to preface this with, this was no shade to men. This post was no shade to men, and neither is this one. I was just genuinely curious and asking. I love men, I think they're awesome, and I think that they're a little confused right now. But most of their responses said something like, we were told not to go up to you guys, and we were told that you want to be left alone, and you just want your own space, and you don't want us approaching you. Which for some women, that can absolutely be true, but I love meeting people in person, and I just think that it takes a confident person to go up to someone when you see them in person, and I think it's a really cool way to meet people rather than meeting people online. Men were also saying things like they were called creeps and weirdos, and they don't want to be called that. It's not a pleasant experience. But I will say that it has to do with how you approach a woman. Like, for example, myself and my friends have had men come up to us with a really, really intense energy, like a very in-your-face energy, and they're really nervous and they're kind of scattered and they're very pushy or weird, and their energy is just off. And one of the most attractive things to a woman is emotional intelligence, and that shows within like the first few seconds of meeting someone when they introduce themselves to you. So if you're gonna go up to a woman, just like take a calm, deep breath. If you see a woman working on her laptop or something at a cafe, you can go up to her and be like, hey, my name is so-and-so. I thought you were really beautiful and you seem interesting. I would love to get to know you more if you're interested, and then slipping her your number on a napkin or something, you know? Like just coming up to women with a calm energy and not giving off this like needy energy or this like pushy energy. I think that is what women don't like. I think it's really sweet and cute to be approached in person, and I know that there's a lot of women like me. There's probably some women out there who don't want to be approached, and that's fine, and it's hard to tell who's who. But I think you can tell when you go up to a girl kind of right away if she'd be interested or not based on her body language, and just be calm and natural and don't overthink it. You know, I know that's easier said than done. I've only gone up to a man once in my whole life, but I think that might help. I don't know. I think I'm just someone who's very interested in people interacting with each other and having experiences and building community. And I think the world is growing more and more introverted and people are on their phones more. And I just think it's beautiful to meet people out and in person. And I just don't want to lose that.
I knew it. She's going to blame the men, isn't she? Classic. But let's get real. Women created this mess. It didn't happen overnight. Years of labeling men as creeps, of rejecting them harshly, of screaming, "Leave us alone," trained men to stop approaching altogether. And now, the same women sit around scratching their heads, acting confused, pretending they enjoy meeting people in person, as if they didn't just sabotage the very dynamic that makes that possible. Men aren't risking their peace, their reputation, or their mental energy just to throw a compliment your way anymore. Why would they? The rules got rewritten without their consent. You wanted independence, space, the freedom to live life on your terms. Congratulations, you got it. But here's the hard truth. Don't start crying now that the silence feels lonely. That's not irony. It's cause and effect. The dynamic is dead because the incentives disappear. Men aren't broken, they're cautious. And until there's a willingness to engage without attitude, without entitlement, the quiet isn't going anywhere. The silence you're experiencing, you built it yourself.
Not confident enough to walk up to women now. Say shout out to the guys who are confident enough to walk up to women. The masculinity on earth has diminished drastically that guys don't even come up to you anymore. They'll just stare at you from a distance. As a woman who's trying to embody her feminine energy, you're not going to catch me going up to the guy. You're just not. We can just stare at each other. Say shout out to the guys who are confident enough to walk up to women, because guys don't do that anymore. If God were to guarantee that your 20th person would be the love of your life, you would be so happy to be rejected by all 19. So why are men not confident enough to walk up to women now? We don't chase. We signal like, you can come up to me now. But all men do is just look at you now. And of course, like, if the woman is interested, she's going to keep looking your way too. But it just like stays like that. Nothing ever happens because men don't walk up to women anymore. Or they're just tired of being rejected. But it's like, if God were to tell you that you're going to go through 20 rejections before you get to your yes, and that's going to be the love of your life, you guys would be so happy to go through all 20 because you were just so closer to the love of your life.
Oh, right. Let's rewind for a second. Weren't we the creeps just for daring to approach you? But now, suddenly, men are weak for not chasing after you. Classic double standard. The narrative flips whenever it suits, and men are starting to see it. Here's the reality. Men are done catering to women who shift the rules on a whim, who demand attention one day and reject it the next, who expect chivalry but call it creepy. Why risk rejection, humiliation, or false labels just to feed someone else's ego? That math no longer adds up. You wanted independence, space, freedom from unwanted attention. You got it. But don't be shocked when men stop performing. Stop bending over backward for scraps of validation. The energy, the risk, the mental cost, it's too high. Men aren't disappearing because they're weak. They're disappearing because they're smart. They've learned the hard way that the old rules don't exist anymore, and the new ones, well, they only benefit one side. So yes, the silence you feel isn't a mystery. It's the result of your own doing.
Do not approach you at the bar, not because you're not pretty, but it's because of this. I've been going to the bars every weekend with my friends, maybe for the past couple months, and I love it. I love socializing, and I'm single. And my friend and I were talking at the bar the other weekend, and we were talking about how we've never been approached by a single guy before. Like, maybe ever, which is just insane to think about. Like, I can name a couple occurrences where they have, but it was like people from Europe, and they're like a different breed of people, okay? So I feel like the culture in America is way different. Guys do not want to approach you, not because of how pretty you are or how you look, but it's really because they're scared of you. And then us women over here who are single are thinking like, we look amazing, we did our makeup, we chose the perfect outfit. Why aren't all these guys coming up to us? Even if we're not into them, why don't they just come up just to like make us feel good about ourselves? Okay, now I want you to think of the perspective of a guy. I'll never know what's in a man's head, but I have a pretty good idea from like my guy friends and going out a lot. Guys are intimidated by you, okay? They don't all have that courage or charisma or just bravery to go up to you like you have to somebody else. And on top of just being intimidated by going up to a stranger in general, you're probably surrounded by a big group of friends. And even worse if you're surrounded by your guy friends, because they're gonna assume that you're dating one of them, and no one wants to go up to a girl who's surrounded by a bunch of guys, okay? It's just a cock block. So now you're probably thinking, okay, we have this information, but what do we do with it? First off, I don't really think bars are the best place to really find a relationship. It's great to meet people, have fun, really get to know other people. But if you're putting all your eggs in one basket and really putting so much pressure on